Hi, I'm Carl Azus, and this is CNN Student News. We begin today with a look at the headlines, and teachers, we ask that you please preview this segment. Officials in Sampson, Alabama say that their community is in shock following the deadliest crime in the state's history. On Tuesday, authorities say an alleged gunman went on a shooting rampage in two small towns, killing 10 people, many of whom were members of his family. The suspect was later involved in a shootout with police before taking his own life. Officials say the attacker had no known criminal record before carrying out Tuesday's assault, and they have no idea of a motive behind the incident. Tragic news from Germany as well, where 15 people were killed by a gunman near the town of Stuttgart. The violence erupted yesterday morning when the suspected shooter opened fire at a school, killing 12 people and wounding 7 others. He fled after police arrived, continuing his rampage for several hours before he was tracked down. Authorities are investigating how the attacker died. They say it appears that he took his own life after being injured when he exchanged fire with officers. A CNN reporter on the scene yesterday said police have no explanation for why that attack happened. Hundreds of people are protesting against recent violence in Northern Ireland following the separate shootings of a police officer and 2 British soldiers there. Different militant groups have claimed responsibility for the attacks, but Ireland's Prime Minister says that the perpetrators cannot and will not succeed. Many believe the shootings are related to a long-running conflict over whether Northern Ireland should remain part of Great Britain or become part of Ireland. On Tuesday, police arrested 2 men in connection with one of the attacks. And the capital of Saudi Arabia is taking on an orange glow thanks to a massive sandstorm that struck the city of Riyadh. The storm blocked out the sun and caused more than 70 traffic accidents, according to local media. Some said it was the worst sandstorm they had ever seen in the Middle Eastern nation. The orange cloud forced all flights in and out of Riyadh to shut down, and it caused a temporary halt in oil exports at 3 ports in the nearby country of Kuwait.
A word to the wise: asylum, a place offering safety, shelter, or protection.
Well, the number of Mexicans seeking asylum in the U.S. is on the rise, and many are looking to flee their country's increasing drug violence. More than 6,000 people died in Mexican drug wars last year. And some U.S. lawmakers are warning that the situation is threatening the stability of Mexico. Ed Lavandera explores the issue from both sides of the border.
From a tiny restaurant in El Paso, Texas, Jorge Aguirre and Emilio Gutierrez agreed to meet with us, 2 Mexican reporters in hiding. They say their articles criticizing Mexican government officials were met with death threats. The fear never ends, Emilio told me. I had become a source of frustration for them. Aguirre runs a website called lapolaca.com. He was on his way to a friend's funeral last November in Juarez, a fellow reporter who was assassinated when his cell phone rang. They called and told me I was next, Jorge says. I went into shock. I thought I was going to die right there on the street corner. Aguirre says he knows where the threat came from. He rushed his family into El Paso and hasn't been home since. Gutierrez has already requested asylum. Both men say politicians controlled by drug traffickers want them killed. Mexican government officials have denied this. If I go back, they will kill me, he says. The number of Mexican citizens asking for asylum in the U.S. because they fear the violence in their home country has been going up. In 2003, there were 54 cases. That number jumped to 312 last year. But asylum isn't a sure bet. Less than half of those cases were approved last year. Applicants must show they're being persecuted for social or political reasons. There are business owners, even law enforcement agents, including 3 Mexican police chiefs, who refused the bribes of drug cartels. One of those worked in the small town of Palomas on the border with New Mexico.
It's pretty hard to fight that type of situation by yourself.
Sheriff Raymond Gobos knew the Palomas chief. He heard the chief was denied asylum and is hiding somewhere in Mexico.
If I was interested in surviving and living another day and taking care of my family, protecting my family, I would have to give up my post because I wouldn't have anybody else to rely on.
And now we've learned the American attorney for the 2 Mexican reporters says he's being threatened for taking their case, saying he's been followed on the U.S. side.
Do you view this as a threat on your life?
Yes, I've taken it very seriously. I've grown up in Mexico, I've lived in Mexico, I've lived on the border my entire life. I know how they function. It was clearly a threat that if I don't stop, something will happen.
Another reason for Emilio Gutierrez and Jorge Aguirre to remain hiding. Ed Lavendera, CNN, El Paso.
Time for the shout-out. William Moulton Marston is credited with creating what comic superhero? If you think you know it, shout it out. Is it Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, or Catwoman? You've got 3 seconds. Go! Wonder Woman is the creation of Mr. Marston. He also invented the lie detector test. That's your answer, and that's your shout-out.
Wonder Woman, arguably the most famous female comic book character, although she's certainly not the only one. And the Amazon princess is about to get some company on the shelves from a few females who are a force to be reckoned with in the political world. Jason Carroll examines the story behind this new animated adventure.
Supermodels cried foul when celebrities took over their coveted fashion covers. Now superheroes are taking a back seat as 2 new comic books are released featuring Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and Alaska's Governor Sarah Palin.
It's kind of insane because right now the Hillary Clinton comic and the Sarah Palin comic have sold out through our distributor.
Darren Davis and Jason Schultz are the masterminds behind the new comic books. Both represent Blue Water Productions, the company publishing the creations. They say it's all part of their Female Force series.
These are very strong, independent women that people want to know more about. And what better to teach younger kids about these role models than through comic books?
Blue Water Productions hopes their comics will rival others put out by another company featuring President Barack Obama and Senator John McCain.
It shows that comics just isn't just about guys in tights beating each other up. It's about information. It's about understanding people a little better.
I think it just says that that women are important for it, and it's because to show people what they're all about.
It's no secret many comic book readers are young men, and much of the imagery in comics of women glorifies the female form. Blue Water Productions' first cover version featuring Secretary of State Clinton was deemed inappropriate by some who saw a preview.
We did an early rendition of the cover for Hillary Clinton that just really didn't, it was almost too comical, and so we ended up changing it.
But will these new comics change readership by bringing in more young women?
Say there's a young student who's not really motivated by reading a biography of Hillary Clinton. They would definitely be motivated by reading the comic book version or the graphic novel version of that.
Blue Water Productions is banking on that. They're also rolling out a comic for First Lady Michelle Obama and Caroline Kennedy.
Well, this is America. If it sells, it'll do really well, and if not, it'll always be thought of as a classic.
Next from Blue Water Productions comes a comic featuring Princess Diana, and then get ready for the Female Force media series. That will feature Oprah Winfrey and Barbara Walters. Jason Carroll, CNN, New York.
All right, we have been asking you guys to send us iReports with your thoughts on the recession. Just to prove how easy that is to do, we are going to explain the process in less than 30 seconds. First, and most important, get your parents' permission. Then, turn on a camera, video camera, digital camera, cell phone, any camera. Record your thoughts about how the recession is affecting you and how you're working through it. Then, go to the Spotlight section at cnnstudentnews.com. Find the link to submit your iReports. Log in, upload your video. You might see yourself in our show. It's that easy. Get to it! And before we go today, a shopping run that really gets the fur flying. Did your mom ever tell you not to leave the door wide open? Well, this is why. These devious deer darted inside a convenience store in Pennsylvania and went wild on the place. The clerks ran for cover and gave the animals free rein to roam about. In this kind of economy, you can't afford to turn away any customers, even if they're completely deranged. You guys have a great day. For CNN Student News, I'm Carl Azuz.